Hi there. Welcome to another one-to-one thing. A bit echoey on my phone. Um, it's the 7th of May. This is our sort of weekly water cooler event. Just a chance for me to, I guess, open the floor up a little bit and have various people from all over the place come and um, hang out and chat. Uh, there is no real agenda for this event other than sort of my weekly commitment to show up and just have an opportunity to chat and connect. So feel free to join. I will post the. I should do a QR code really on this if you're watching this, but there are links in the comments both on Facebook and on LinkedIn where this is streamed. So feel free to join in on the Restream Studio, and we can connect. Um, I guess I could put the see if I can do something clever here and add this to uh, to a caption, um, and then put that there. That's the copy. Yeah. We got Sandra. How are you, my friend?
Good, but I have this in two different places. I got to turn one off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if
Oh,
you're,
wait, where'd you
okay.
go? There you are.
Okay. Good. How are you?
I'm all right. And
It's
you?
great to see. It's great to see you.
I know, right?
it seems like every time we connect, you're doing a walk with the dog.
I took him early this
Okay.
morning. It's warming
Okay.
up here, so uh, it's not bitterly cold in the morning, which bitterly cold California standards,
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's bright. It's bright here. I've got the curtains closed, but
Oh,
it's not
good.
warm. It's not warm yet.
Oh, darn. What?
So
You're in Manchester?
I'm north of Manchester. I'm
North of
in I'm
Manchester.
in Lancaster.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
Lancaster.
Lancaster. Yeah.
My brother's over there this week. He is a, what do they call it? He's a commandant of the St. Francis Yacht Club here, which is a volunteer position that just gets brutalized in the best of ways.
Okay.
So he's going to the Isle of Wight,
Olive White. Yep.
and there's a regatta going on somewhere, and so he has to go to all these crazy places around the world and rub shoulders and be with all the
Wow.
fancy people.
What does a commandant do?
Is it a commandant?
Is that the right term?
I don't know. No,
No.
Commodore. Commodore.
Commodore. I
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I don't know what either one of
Commandant
those.
is more like if he was in the German army. Um,
Okay.
so
Okay.
they're responsible for fundraising for the yacht club,
Okay.
go and get all their members to give them more money than they're already paying.
Mm-hmm.
And then they maintain and sponsor race teams on all sorts of different watercraft, not
Wow.
anything motorized. And so, he'll have to go like, oh, he has to go to the America's Cup and represent
Someone
the
has to
yacht
go.
club there. And then it's like this whole society of yacht club people
Right. Does
around the
he
world.
does he sail? Is that how he got
Yes.
into it? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So growing up, we had friend, a family friend who was from Switzerland. And he is, one of those as rich as God people. And so he got into this. So sailing, you're either in these little tiny things or you're in these
Yeah.
things.
Massive.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and so he is a very proficient sailor, and they got on from the very beginning. And so he'll go and join Glenn's team and support, be a crew member
Mm-hmm.
on whatever he's racing in. So yeah, he loves it.
Oh wow.
I
Wow.
think he loves it for the status and the people he gets to hang around.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
like, he's not like the guy who's going to go sail around the world solo because he
Okay.
loves sailing.
Okay. Okay. Oh, there's yeah. I mean, yeah. If you find, I guess it's that finding your tribe, right? If you find your tribe, regardless of the status that it gives,
Yeah.
uh,
And I mean, the perks are amazing. He's traveled all around the world in
right.
this Commodore role. And for whatever reason, I think they replace the position every couple of years or something
Okay.
like that. And it's somebody actually now is the official Commodore, but Jim really does all of the responsibilities because he likes to. He
Right.
makes the time. Yeah, yeah,
That is that is crazy. That is crazy.
yeah.
That's hmm. Um. Yeah. I the only time I've heard of Commodore is the Commodores, obviously.
I know, right? Lionel Richie.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
was he a Commodore? I wonder.
I thought he was.
I mean, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that kind.
yeah, that kind.
Yeah. Oh, that's craziness.
There you go.
How are you? How are
There
how
you
are
go.
things?
I am well. I'm well. I got a letter in the post today about a parking ticket, which wasn't a good start to the day. It's just annoying because it's in a supermarket, and I either forgot or didn't realize you have to validate in the parking space.
So who sent you the ticket? The parking
They we
shop or
have
the
cameras.
city?
We have cameras for everything. So
I know.
so the
Yeah.
ANPR
Yeah.
took a snapshot, and lo and
Busted.
behold, sent me a
Busted.
picture of my car.
Yeah.
You know,
I got a no, my husband received a you ran a red light ticket or something like that.
wow.
Or turned right without stopping or something. And
Mm.
he's like, bah! And then he turns to the next page and there's a picture of the car with him sitting in it at the intersection. And you can clearly see it's him. I'm like, well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's a double-edged, it's a two-edged sword. That protecting, being safe versus the whole, uh, not even police state, but the observation state where
yeah.
nothing you do it goes unnoticed. I I don't mind. I don't mind being. I guess I don't mind being watched because, um, to an extent, because I'm not somebody that necessarily does anything that is worthy of being
Yeah.
pulled up on.
Yeah. As long as it's not privacy invasion,
Yeah,
but it's, I would rather have it and have it be definitive that this was the person who mugged me
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah, yeah.
That's just me.
That's it. That's interesting. So yeah, apart from that, I'm not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. My mum's gone back to Jamaica. She landed this morning. So she's back in the sunshine with all of her goodies from the
Yeah.
UK,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was good. Missing her already. Actually, it's just kind of strange. She was here for
No,
quite a while.
it's not strange. What
Yeah.
kind of goodies does she bring back with her?
Oh, it's embarrassing to say. I mean,
No.
she's a thrift shopper, so
Ah,
she
I get
picked up
it.
she picked up various clothing items and household items from all over, and I'm like, Mom, can't you get that in Jamaica? It's like, no.
It's a
But
memory. It's a
I get
memory
it.
that I have
Yeah,
now.
I get it. It's one of those things. Although we were heavily restricted in the European trip because we traveled Ryanair, which is very small bags.
Mm,
When we went to Rome and Paris, so
hmm
that was good. Which we picked up sort of, you know, she had a couple of paintings that she liked. She picked up, which are easy to carry.
hmm
So little gifts and icons from the places as opposed to something sizable. But yeah, she brought back a good bunch of stuff from the UK.
You have to
She
have
came
a
with one
rule
bag
that
and it became two.
that's what I'm gonna say. You have to have a rule. You can't buy any more bags.
You gotta max out the bags. But
Pack
yes,
one outfit. If you need room for buying things, then only pack one outfit, one pair of shoes.
yes, yeah, yeah. It was good. It was a great constraint to travel light, you know, for 8 days. And I was surprised both of us didn't wear everything we brought with us.
Still,
Yeah.
yeah,
We had good weather, which obviously if you got poor weather, then it factors into what you bring and how much you can recycle it. But
yeah,
the weather was great, which then
yeah.
helped it. And yeah, it's just nice to getting on the plane, getting off the plane. Just
Everything.
yeah,
I know.
it was the smoothest ever.
This is what I loved about working in Africa because it was never cold. Um, and I would go for a 10-day trip to Lagos with a carry on.
Yeah,
And the ladies at the airport would be like, "How do you do that?" And I said, "Well, because everything is like a squinched up sundress with a little
yeah,
tiny sweater on top. And
yeah.
I bring one extra pair of shoes and that's it."
Mm.
Um, but it was very, I loved it. It's the best. And then even still, like you're saying, I wouldn't even wear everything because there's still something you're like, well, maybe I want to have an option.
Yeah,
And then you don't even
don't
take
exercise.
advantage of the option.
Yeah.
That's too
That's
funny.
good. That's good. So yeah, clubs are going well. I have a new club in the well, it's near Preston. It's about a 20 miles away from where I'm at. So, but
Okay.
it's an interesting group, and they're taking on the learning really well, which is kind of nice. It's always good to see the kids light up when they get something or they like they imagine something and then they have to try and make what they imagine happen on the
Yeah.
screen. And sometimes you've got to rein in their
Oh, yeah.
imagination in terms of
Yeah.
making it happen within the time
Yes.
scale that we
Yes.
have.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Kids and constraints is a tough one because sometimes they don't understand why there's a constraint. You know, why can't I make this image move all the way around the screen and eat something and pick up something and do this in one command or you know in 1 week of coding? We go, well, I can't do it in a month, right? I'm not sure if you're going to do it in a week. I'm not sure if they're
And
going to do
give
it
it a
in a
go.
week.
I mean, that's how they learn, right? Is they give it a go and they say, "Oh my gosh, I could only get 1% done that I thought I could get done." You know?
That is, you see, that that phrase that you just expressed there
Yeah.
is an adult mind approaching the issue.
Mm-hmm.
A, a child's mind would say it should work. I don't know why it's not happening. Why isn't it happening? I want it to happen now. Wow, wow. It must happen now. Why is it not doing it? You know, and it's like, now come on, Julie, Johnny, you gotta let's start here first. But I want to design the pitch. Let's make it move across the screen. So yeah, it is. I don't feel like I'm constraining as much as just guiding them. And
Yeah.
parts of their brain are not ready for the stuff. I mean, I've got to be mindful that their brains are not that they're not formed. They are not. There's certain processes that they've not
Mm-hmm.
yet been exposed to by
Yeah.
God's design, as opposed to
100%.
you
I,
know.
I was in um, math, maths, and I did really well until algebra.
Mm,
And then I think I was 12, 13, 14, 15, 13, 14. I was 13 years old and put into geometry. And I know exactly what you're saying.
mm,
Like it was not ready for the functions of geometry.
yeah.
It was not even like learning a language. It was like you've placed me on a planet that has upside down gravity and whatever else. I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it. It was very frustrating. And the teacher's name, sadly, was Mrs. Krulovich.
Krulovich or Kulovich?
Krulovich.
Oh, okay. You've had fun with that all over the years, I'm sure.
And yes, I mean, it was clearly such a like damaging thing to me. I remember the conversation. I remember what she looks like. I remember her name. But then you asked me to remember, oh, well, who was that teacher that you had for geography? No
Yeah,
idea.
no idea.
It was a defining moment, Steve.
Oh my goodness. that's an interest. Yeah, that's an interesting Krulovich. That's an interesting name. I mean, yeah, I guess I wonder what you would I wonder what you would have to be doing in order for that name to sort of fit. In terms of profession.
I could see her being, the evil school mom in a boarding school,
Mm,
but that's because of the yeah. Because I don't think that's an adapted name,
mm,
right? It's a like when somebody is small and they come through Ellis Island, so they just give them the name Small,
yeah,
or like what you're talking about, right? You're the blacksmith, so your
yeah,
name is whatever.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Mm,
I'm gonna look it up
interesting.
because I want
Well,
to know.
well, she obviously made an impression. Actually, that's interesting. I found an old I found an old picture, an old photograph, um, digging through some paperwork or some boxes,
Mm.
and it was me with a teacher from my high school, um,
Oh,
and he held a social. He had a small group of the students went to his house. He's an artist, and he taught us for Black Studies, which was a new thing
mm-hmm,
back in the late 70s, early 80s.
mm-hmm,
It would have been 81, 80, 81.
mm-hmm.
And we were taken out of religious education to do this Black Studies class, which is basically kind of looks strange because as a boys' school, all the boys were like, "Why are we all in trouble all together? What's going on here?"
They're testing out some curriculum on you.
Yeah, and but it was fun. And it's funny because we came back after when we had other lessons. All the other kids are like, "Where did you go? Where did you go? What happened?"
Oh
What did
yeah,
We're like,
special.
"Oh no, no, we're cool. Yeah, we're cool. We learned about stuff that you're not ready for this." But I found a photograph with this teacher. His name's Winston James. If anyone knows him, Mr. James, definitely an impactful teacher. I mean, it's great to have not just people that you remember for all sorts of reasons, but having, if someone asks me of teachers
Mm,
in my school career that had an impact, he's one of them.
hmm
And I don't know if teachers necessarily know how much of an impact they have.
I hear that they don't unless
Mm,
somebody goes back and tells them,
yeah,
you made a difference for me. I have several friends who are teachers, or when our kids were growing up and had teachers, and I would be having the conferences with them or whatever. It's like for all the people I've ever talked to, it's out of the ordinary
mm,
for somebody to do that unless they receive an assignment in college to send a letter, to the most
okay,
impactful high school teacher that you had or something. So
okay.
Krulovich is a Ashkenazi Jewish name,
Oh,
likely derived from the Russian word krule or krulette, I don't know how to say it, which
mm,
translates to roulette or dice.
oh,
And it does refer to someone's father's name or occupation. So her father must have been, or great grandfather, or whatever,
yeah.
must have been a gambling man.
Give me snake eyes.
No idea. No idea.
That is bizarre. That is
Yeah.
bizarre. So what I've got you in is a kind of a one-to-one thing here. We're chatting. Um, I want to give you a bit of the platform here to share a bit more about
Mm,
the creative mass, the
career.
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 Where did I get creative from? I knew it was
I
beginning with
don't know.
C.
It's not
Um,
creative.
career,
Career Navigation Mastery
career,
Studio. It's a
career.
big, long mouthful. Yeah.
Are you going to do you abbreviate it to the acronym? Is that the
To
name of it?
the studio. I call it the
Oh, the
studio.
studio.
When
Okay.
once people are inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then sometimes it will appear as CNMS.
right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
How I'll start with the first part of it in terms of career navigation. How important
Mhm.
and what does that? I'm on the I guess I'm on the back end of my career. I mean, I've had a career,
Mhm.
um, and I've still got careers in my future. But how does career navigation work, and what's in it for me, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, the genesis of this is I spent 30 years inside companies, and for myself and for basically everyone around me, every employee, there would always come a point, or I would come into an organization that was already at that point, if especially if it's a large stable organization, where you hear just a lot of disgruntlement. There's a lot of complaining, there's a lot of I don't know what's happening. Um, and the employees water cooler chat is negative. What are those leaders doing anyway up there? Why are certain people getting promoted? It's all about who you know. It's so political here, blah blah blah. And our tendency, and I did this, is I don't like it here, so I'm going to quit and find a better place. And then the better place ended up I had the same experience,
Mm.
at which point I was like, well, possibly it's me, probably not, but possibly it's me. And so, with 30 years of reflection on it, I said, we come from our family, whatever, original construction that is. But in that, when you're a child, you have a parent or an adult telling you, here's the way of the world, here's how you behave in it. Do it this way, and things will work out that way. And then you go to schools, and school has the same thing. You have a teacher setting the rubric for you of how do you perform and how do you succeed. And then you go to work, and I had this expectation, as well as a lot of the people that I interviewed, somebody at work is going to replace that more senior experienced figure in my life, and not necessarily tell me what to do, but show me the ropes,
Mhm.
show me how to be in this new environment. And it's a whole new context, right? The organization is fake, it's a structure, and there's compensation, there's job levels, there's performance reviews, there's employment law, there's all these things that the company works behind the scenes that we know nothing about, but that very much impact us. There's all of the social norms that exist in the company. And even though there's authority and power, it's not always used in a way that helps the company and the people's experience in the company be better. So, A, without the knowledge of what's happening behind the scenes, B, with very inconsistent or absent guidance, people are left to their own devices to figure out what should I know about coming into this environment to help myself be successful.
Mm.
So, and then I'll just say a little story, which is I did some work at university level. I was a guest person within somebody else's semester long curriculum at several different universities. Some were graduate level, some were undergraduate level. And we did this curriculum of, here's how you figure out what's important to you. And at a time when kids are already locked into their major, whatever, but they landed there, who knows why. But here's what's really important to me. Here are the, four most important things you need to know before you go into this work environment. And we did maybe, in some cases, it was a long semester long curriculum. Sometimes it was a week, sometimes it was 4 hours. But every time it was, why has nobody told us this before?
Right.
This is the stuff that we need to know to help us function once we get out of the very controlled school environment. And so, kind of reflecting on all of that, I said, there's 7 million people, 8 million people, 8 billion people, sorry, on the planet. Half of them are working in some way, shape, or form. Most of them are frustrated with their work. We know that from all of the Gallup engagement studies and all of that. And I bet some people would want to know if there was some kind of secret saucy formula they could apply. Not saying that they're going to love their job every minute and it's going to be deeply fulfilling and satisfied. However, it will definitely reduce frustration, and it will help you see, what do I need to do in order to be perceived as a high performer. Because definitely, if I'm perceived as a high performer, I'm going to have more advantages than if I'm not. And so companies, whether they name it this or not, they're looking for your ability to influence, your ability to have perspective, not just, hey, Steve, please go do this spreadsheet. And for Steve to come back and say, okay, I did the spreadsheet. What's next? But for Steve to say, hey, what are you trying to achieve with this?
Yeah.
I happen to know some other information. Here's 3 other ways you could use this data that I'm providing you. So perspective, influence, perspective. The third thing is your increasing ability to handle increasing complexity. You are more valuable the more that you're able to handle increasingly complex things. And then the last thing, which everybody talks about, but is very poorly defined, is impact. What is the impact of your role? And so we start there saying, this is the thing you're trying to achieve. Now, what are all the things you need to know in order to be able to be viewed as a high performer against those concepts? And so then underneath that is all the different ways of assessing, evaluating, creating action plans, all the way to how do I go talk to my manager about this? So you come out of all of the programs, there's multiple programs inside, different lengths, different depths, with an action plan of some sort. Sometimes it's a 30-day plan, sometimes it's a 90-day plan. And the other big benefit, besides all this knowledge that you get, is you can't ask this stuff at your company because somebody's going to think you're low influence, low perspective, low, right?
Yeah.
They're going to worry about, what did we hire here? And it's a risk at most companies to go and ask these questions. So in this community, you're with a whole bunch of people who are experiencing the same thing, who want it to be better, and who you can talk to about the things that you're trying. How did it work? Other people have gone and had conversations with their manager, and you can talk to them. How did it go? What worked? What didn't work? What if they say this? What if they say that? So you have this population of kind of strangers on an airplane in a way that you can talk to and disclose to. And then we're also staffed with about 20 coaches and experts who are available and engaged depending on what their role is. So some of them provide direct one-on-one coaching, some of them provide group coaching. And then the last piece is, depending where you sit as a profession, if you're a salesperson, a marketing person, a business strategy person, an engineer, I have a network of senior leaders who come in and do special events, who say, I am a very successful CIO, CTO, CMO. Here's what you should be thinking about from where you're sitting at your point in your career if you want to have a successful career in that particular profession. So that was a really long answer.
That's a lot, and like you said, it's a smorgasbord. It covers a whole range from, like you said, going into universities where graduates are, are having to shift from, is it in the test, to
Yep.
what do you want me to do, boss?
Exactly. Yeah. And where you have help, right?
Right.
I think about, our daughter is 21, graduating from undergraduate shortly. She has a capstone that she has to do. She has like 3 advisors. They are her advisors. They ask her questions. They read her stuff. They coach her along. You don't have that when you get to work. And if you don't know how to do something and you ask, of course you're worried. I need to appear like I know what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's a couple of things that you said there. That's one of them, in terms of the fear of asking the question. Not partly because you may appear like inadequate,
yes,
but there's also the responses that sometimes the people you're asking don't know the answer themselves. So their pushback is, why are you even asking that? They make your question seem
yes,
inadequate, when actually they
yes,
don't know how to answer it themselves, and that's why
yeah,
they respond in that way, which is
absolutely. And
scary.
there's a whole area of the curriculum that unpacks that whole relationship dynamic.
Hmm.
and how to understand and how to kind of hold yourself outside of that so you don't get sucked into that drama that just happened in front of you. Um, so, and then also these conversation guides, so that when you get into that situation, that's now a difficult conversation. So how do I handle that? What do I say? What do I need to bring up? How do I represent what it is that I need to talk about? And that's where the coaching comes in too, which is, look, my manager is just completely unskilled. Like, what do I do? Who's been in this situation and what have you done that's worked? Because some people will go skip level. Some people will work to influence to help their manager learn. Some people will just, hunker down or find a different department to go to or whatever. So we can talk through all of those things before you blow the whole thing up and, just go get a different job.
Yeah. And then the other thing was I made a note because I always
Mm.
listen to you talk, is handling complexity, which was really insightful. I know my most enjoyable jobs have always come from one, having a sense of perspective.
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily high enough up in the hierarchy, but at a level where I have enough information. I've been provided enough information and context,
Mhm.
not only to do my job, but also to uh, affect the company positively.
Mhm.
And if you give me enough to do my job, that's not enough for me. It's not. It's basically it's back to school. I'm moving blocks.
Yeah.
If I've got a context and a perspective that says someone gives me the insight, peek behind the curtain, understand what's really going on to make things
Mhm.
happen,
Mhm.
then you have. It comes to agency and advocacy, right? You can do more with knowing more, as long as you don't lord it over people who don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's, how do you uh, have that credibility and that trust, right? That you're the right person to give something to.
Mhm.
And what you said also brings up that, you might just have some underlying preferences. I don't want my job to be like that. I don't want it to be complicated. I need it to be simple. The rest of my life is complicated. I'd like this just to be do A, get B, and please, that's fine. And that's fine. And you need to acknowledge that as your preference, right?
Mm.
You may have a preference for what you're talking about, either having a lot of knowledge across and broad, or you may prefer to be a really deep expert in something. And so that's all the stuff that we talk about is helping you kind of the whole know thyself principle, right?
Mm.
Is don't get yourself into a job that you end up not liking because you weren't clear on what it is that you actually like or what you actually want. There's so many trade offs,
Yeah.
right, that we have to make in life. And so we need to know kind of what are our baseline
Yeah.
things. I'm looking at a cat in my garden, and I believe that he is about to leave me a deposit.
Oh, you can't ward him off from where you're at, or
I don't think so.
mess with him.
I would have to throw something at the window, and I don't want to do that.
Okay, all right.
He's so
All
far
right.
just sniffing,
Ah, that's a
but
metaphor for life. Sometimes cats come along and leave you things.
sometimes you're the windshield and sometimes you're the bug. Yeah.
That's very cool. And actually, when you say that's, I was just thinking along that thought of career navigation. It's very
Mm,
easy. Um, it could be very easy for people to think, oh, it's just about a job and fitting the job to my personality or desires or goals or
mm-hmm,
dreams.
mm-hmm,
And I think back now, a career is a big factor. It's a big part of one's life, and I think you could easily transpose career life navigation into the term career navigation because
definitely.
um,
Yeah.
you know, sure, it provides and pays the bills and things like that, but it's a lot of effort, energy, and time in one's life,
Mm-hmm,
and some of the the skills and dramas from work and or life cross over. You end up
absolutely.
with things.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
having a job that moves A to B, and that's enough because that's easy to do. I've had
Yeah.
some of those jobs as well,
Yeah.
and I've loved it because actually, I mean,
Exactly.
I can bring my best self to that in terms of making it more efficient or
Hmm.
gamifying it or getting stuff done before I leave a shift,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be any smarter or deeper than
It,
get,
and that's
getting
fine,
stuff.
right? But you get a lot of pressure from the outside, whether it's your family or friends or the people at work that, they want to make you feel that's not enough. How could you possibly be satisfied with that? And that's where that know thyself is like, well, here's why I'm doing it this way right now. I may not do it this way forever.
Mm-hmm.
But our careers happen for the most part in the time of our life when we're also doing everything else. We're becoming partners, we're becoming parents, our own parents start to age, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're making our own lives very complex at the same time. And so if we can find a way to have our career at the least not steal away from the rest of those things that we're trying to do well, and at the best if it can also help us do those other things better,
Yeah.
um, then that would be the ideal place to be. And I think it always just comes kind of from an older person's perspective, right? It's like, I know you're 35 and you think you can suck it up, but let me tell you that after 5 years of sucking it up, you're not going to be a very, happy person. You're not going to be a satisfied person. The
Yeah.
people around you will have changed in the rest of your life. Um, and so do it now is the time to do it. It's always the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for that
Yeah.
reminder to reflect. Um, I, I've, I mean, I guess in my life I've dodged a lot of bullets, and well, a fair amount, and I think
Mm-hmm.
probably no more or less than other people.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them have been sort of, you know, job A to job B,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to having a job to no job to
Mm-hmm.
being destitute. I don't have those sorts of big
Mm-hmm.
dodges. But I reflect back and I think, man, it's been I've been lucky. I feel fortunate and blessed for the path that I've taken, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't change. I don't think I would change any of it, um, which is also often a nice thing to reflect on. That you'd go, you know what, even with the ups and downs, there's I wouldn't want to go back and change it because you change one thing, you change everything. So
That's right.
I don't want to even think about that.
Yeah.
Um, and then like you said, for people who are embarking on careers when
Mm-hmm.
other things in their lives are coming up, um, it's even more important, I guess, to maybe pause or just reflect or
Mm-hmm.
think a little bit deeper than the here and
Mm-hmm.
now. You
Mm-hmm.
know, jumping ship from one company to another because you get a 2 or 3K more in
Mm-hmm.
your pay packet, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time you're sort of giving up your soul for
Right.
that move, and
Yeah.
that's
And who knows what you're jumping into, you
yes,
know?
yeah,
You're getting 2 or 3K more, but you're also possibly getting, 10 times more stress or more headaches or more whatever, and you don't know
right,
that.
right,
Yeah. I think, we have this is shifting now with generations, but
hmm
there used to be such a, the way that my career grows and the way I know my career is growing is because I have been promoted.
mm,
And that thinking is already shifting to, I'm doing the things that are meaningful to me. I'm doing the things that are building the skills, knowledge, and experience that I want to have in my
mm,
life. And these younger generations now, they have a much healthier way of looking at it, and they're going into organizations that don't know what to do with that mindset. They don't know how to help that person. They don't
mm,
understand that mindset. And so helping younger people understand this is what you're entering, but this can still be very fruitful for both sides.
right,
Um, and having that path of where you want to go and being as specific as you can in any moment. What is it that I'm trying to learn?
mm,
And that can be anything. I switched very early in my career from electronics manufacturing to software because software was going to be where the future was, and I better go learn what is this a little bit. And I made that switch very intentionally, and I only stayed at that software company for 18 months. And
Right.
I told them that actually, which I don't recommend. When I was interviewing, I said, I'm coming here specifically for this. I'm not going to be here for more than 2 years. So I don't recommend that. But I ended up only staying for 18 months. And then I went on to the next thing that I thought I wanted and needed to learn about.
Mm.
So, and then further, I was working in a very large company. And when we decided to start our family, I said, I'm going to do a job that's easy, that I know how to do, that doesn't require me having to learn all these things, because at the same time, I need to learn how to be a mother and a parent and,
Wow. Wow.
why add to it? And I was lucky that was at a time when, you know, the US economy and the world economy was fairly stable.
Yeah.
And I was there for 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing, I mean, um, I'm a guy, and so the family dynamic was big for me in terms of providing
Mm-hmm.
creating that environment for our family
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
thrive.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't the primary caregiver. My
Yeah.
former wife stayed home
Y- Yeah.
and raised the didn't raise was the homemaker, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a powerful role.
Mm-hmm.
And in hindsight, she did an awesome job. It's just it was great. So it's not it. I I I'm trying to be. I'm empathetic to women having careers
Mm-hmm.
that are interjected with child rearing, you know, maternity leave and all that dynamic and
Mm-hmm.
having kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting now. I just had a friend, a colleague of mine, just got an email saying that he's on paternity leave, and it's just nice to kind of think, oh, you know what? There's a part where the recognizing the man's role in
Yes.
home building, family
Yeah.
raising,
Yeah.
as opposed to just thinking pay him more because he's having to look after the household and
Right.
just keep him engaged in the work. And to your point about the mindset in the corporations being slightly disconnected from the young
Mm-hmm.
people coming into those organizations,
Mm-hmm.
is very very insightful. Another dynamic is, I mean, I went through the dynamic of shifting countries when I
Yeah.
worked. Being a visa worker has another dynamic, and that may be something in your groups we can talk on as well. I can definitely share some sentiment around what it is like to have your work keep you
Mm-hmm.
in the country.
Yeah. I mean, it creates a whole different motivation and impetus and way that you are.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
So the way it works in the community is we do the things once we have enough people who have that interest, right?
hmm,
So if we had, for 10 people come in who were on whatever they are, H1Bs or
yeah,
L1s or whatever,
yeah,
um, that we would say, let's carve you out as a
yeah,
group and talk about what are the specific challenges that you're
yeah,
having. And then that, just by its nature, right, is you're worried about things on a very different level, because not only could you lose your job, but you could have to change your whole life plan if you end
yes,
up losing your job. And that makes a difference. And how, if you're in an environment that you have been told by fellow employees it's not safe to raise your opinion, and you're a visa worker, you're doubly less likely than to ever speak and to say anything, because you're afraid that you'll lose the opportunity. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, all those things. It's highly complex, right? And
yes,
that's why, so we have sessions that are, short sessions, come learn a specific thing, but then we also have come be here for like a year,
yeah,
because over the course of a year, as you start learning and doing things differently, the situations are also going to shift.
yeah,
Um, and so you have this membership with this group of people to just, you can get on live calls, you can just be in the chat talking about, what am I going to do? Here's what happened. I need some advice or
yeah,
whatever. So it's a
yeah,
very flexible community. And the purpose is really just to provide the community so that people
hmm,
don't feel like they have to do this alone. Um,
Yes, and I love it. I mean, you know, I'm working with you. I'm part of that cohort looking at the scaffolding and the building of this platform in it, and
mhm.
it's a beautiful thing. I mean, the one-to-one thing. I talk to people through the podcast. I do the drop-in every week. It's so important to um, show up and allow people to find their, we use it a lot, find their tribe, find their connection,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's going to serve them, it's going to serve them better. It's
yeah,
going to allow you to get the questions that you ruminate in your head out
yes,
of your mouth to somebody else's ears to get
yes,
a different insight perspective. You don't have to
yeah,
take it, but
yeah,
imparting it is part of the exercise.
right.
um,
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, if so, say you have a trusted coworker, right? You have your bestie at work,
mhm,
they're in the same environment as you.
mm,
And so when you go to them and you express frustration, they're going to have this, oh, but if my bestie leaves, then I'll be left here in this difficult environment, right? So now what they're telling you is not necessarily honest truth or advice. You don't have kind of the objective position that the people in the community have,
yeah,
because we're just able we don't have any skin in the game. If you leave, I'm not losing my bestie,
yeah,
you know
yeah, yeah.
so
Oh my goodness! Like, yeah, I had a flashback to again working in the US as a visa worker and
mm,
being other people, having besties in the organization that leave and I can't leave.
yes,
Right.
yes,
Uh, or the
exactly.
other way around, where they're asking me things and I I I can't express my genuine sentiment because that puts my situation at risk.
Absolutely,
You know. So
absolutely. And I think then, for a visa worker, it becomes even that much more important that you know why you are in that particular job beyond they're my sponsor, right? And even if you took kind of a subpar opportunity just to get that sponsorship,
mm,
it becomes so important that you're able to understand what is in it for me besides the sponsorship,
yes.
because your career growth is still important. You
Mm,
still need to be very intentional about what is it that I'm trying to learn
mhm.
so that I become more and more valuable for whatever happens when this comes to an end.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
Otherwise your day to day, nobody
Yeah.
wants a day to day that sucks and
Yeah.
only be, well, you're my sponsor. It's like, if that's the only thing,
Yeah.
that becomes very not enough
Yes.
very quickly.
Yes. Yeah. And it's interesting because you can reach that plateau. You can reach that plateau pretty quick
Hmm.
in the visa space because
Hmm.
things are defined by the term of your visa. A
Hmm.
H1B out the gate back when I had it was 3 years,
Hmm.
extendable to six,
Hmm.
and you had to have. I was filing for green card, so
Hmm.
I was subject to that decision, and
Hmm.
my stay could be extended. And I got to the point where I was staying on an annual renewal of my
Yep.
visa, which
Yep.
is unduly stressful.
What's
Un,
horrible?
it's
Like every
horribly
March to October
expensive,
sucks.
and
Or October to March, whichever one it
yeah,
is.
and my local embassy outside the country was in TJ, so I'd go down to Tijuana.
Mm,
I was in San Diego, so I just
mm,
Uber across or take
yeah.
the bus across. All that to say, I mean, each person's case is unique to them, but that whole mindset of the sponsorship is such a big factor in where you are.
Yeah.
And I've seen other US nationals, for example, in similar roles to me, progress because they have the flexibility of moving their position around to corporations regardless of the overhead of sponsorship,
Yep.
where you get caught
Yep.
in this kind of tunnel. And it's something that's not to get political, but it's not one of those areas that you talk about when you talk about migrant or immigrant workers, um, because it's we go for the flashpoints or the sound bites, but the day to day just getting through.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it, and the dynamic goes beyond visa work. Isn't it? Like you said, if you're stuck with, I guess, if you've got geography issues, or sort of commuting, you've got a window of space that you can't commute more than, a 2 hour commute each way is it's going to ruin other
It's a
aspects of your
lot.
life,
Yeah.
regardless of the opportunity.
Yeah.
So
It's a
it's
ton. And
a lot of
when I
factors.
was in Lagos for the better part of a year, um, people there, the commutes are regularly 4 hours one way.
Wow.
And so what they would do is they would find a place to stay, a couple nights, 3 nights a week. So they're not only, either having to commute every day or they're just away from their
Yeah,
family
yeah,
for 5 days a week. And there, it's survival, right? You do what you need to do to survive. It's a very different equation than in lots of other places of the world.
mm,
Um, but just brutal commutes. Yeah. Yeah.
wow, wow. So I'm gonna plug this, and it's not even shameless. It's an invitation.
Yeah.
People say shameless plug. There's no shame in it. There's no shame in this, because uh, this is something that's exciting. It's got relevance and applicability
Mhm.
to a lot of people, not just, people who've got in our networks, but just in that general space.
Mhm.
Not just career navigation, but life navigation, because often that career is a good chunk of could how you shape your life, or
Yeah.
decisions that you make in life.
Absolutely.
Often
Yeah.
career influenced, if not
Mhm.
career based.
Mhm.
So it's very important to understand that this is not just how to get a job and get along, but it's
Yeah, yeah. And so it is very different from other career navigation sites that talk to you about how do write my resume or things like that. Um, so, like you said, it's more about taking a 30,000 foot view of the whole thing and then down to what does my day to day actually look like
yes,
and how can I craft it rather than just have it crafted for me.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I guess there's an element of um, the late bloomers in careers.
Mm,
I don't know what they call it, third age, or there's all these terms about people in the latter part of their life, but
hmm
also the latter part of their career.
hmm
So, um, do you switch? Do you switch what you do? Do you do it differently? Do you look to mentor? Do you move into different roles or identities around it? Does it need to make you as much money as you're spending? Are you always chasing that ladder up to the top, or do you sort of, you're happy where you're at and you want to sort of give back? So there's lots of
Yeah.
dynamics around that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm in that. I guess I'm in that window, just being an old
Yeah.
guy
Same. Same.
now.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And I just posted about that, right? Which is, there's this whole population of people that have made it to a certain height in organizations. They're now third chapter. They're not looking to chase the power anymore, nor do they want the hours and hours and hours of attention that needs to be given at that or that level of accountability and
mhm,
responsibility. We have been there, we have done that, we don't want to do that anymore. And we have some very specialized areas that we might be super passionate about, but organizations these days, they look at the person who has achieved a certain level and they say the things like, well, you'll be bored if you're down, or you're overqualified, or you're not going to be satisfied in the long run with the amount that we're going to pay you. And I think it's so short-sighted because, to your point, if somebody like you or I wanted to have mentorship as a part of our role in helping, you have this whole population now of maybe 20%, 30% of your organization is this whole population who's not sure what to do,
mm,
and you risk losing them, which is a huge expense. But if you hired some of us who are very happy to have less responsibility, um, and this is something that we would love to be doing,
mm,
your companies are shutting themselves off
yeah,
from resources that could be incredibly
yes,
valuable to the endurance of their organization. It could be reducing
yes,
turnover, we can be increasing retention, all of that. So I went on a little rant there. Sorry, I
Yeah,
was
no,
feeling
it's
it
a good,
lately.
and you know what? It's a good rant. It's a good rant. I'm going to read your post and repost because um that's been something that's kind of tapped into what I've done once I was let go
Hmm.
from my role, and it's not yeah. So that chapter in terms of understanding, hey, you know what? There is immense value. It's just a different way of it being presented,
Exactly.
and if you
Yeah.
can, if you recognize the wins, the upsides are great.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe some downsides. You got to retrain, or you're dealing with if you've got a crotchety old. I'm not saying Krulovich was.
Well, she was a gambler, it turns out.
Hey, take a chance, throw the dice.
Well,
But
we could create, that company, there's a clothing company here in the US. It's called Old Guys Rule.
yes,
And
yes,
so,
yeah,
right, we can have a firm, we can call it Old Guys Rule. It
yeah,
cannot be populated with these crotchety, curmudgeon people. It
yeah,
has to only be populated with people who want to give back.
yeah,
And we'll send a little small army of people into your organization who
yeah,
we are there to do care, feeding, nurturing, help the people be self starters, which is what
yeah.
you want in your organization, but they don't know how to do it in this new environment. So we'll just come in and clean
Yeah.
up.
Love it. I think
New business
I think
idea,
there's something
Steve.
other than rule that old guys and
I know.
we need to work out the guys thing as well and the
Yeah,
and the
I know.
AIDS and
I
the
know.
whole
The
thing.
whole thing. I
The
was
whole
just
thing got
thinking,
to get becomes a
here's this whole clothing. It's a whole clothing line,
yeah.
right?
I
Of
see what
just
you're saying too.
comfortable but hip
Yeah,
clothing, right? And so, yeah,
yeah.
totally. It would be something different. I don't know
It
what it
would
would
be
be, but
yes, yeah. But
yeah,
the sentiment is
yeah,
definitely a heartfelt, and I think yeah, I think there's definitely a benefit to that having people that are sort of a bit further along and same in life, you know, aunts and the value of aunts and uncles and
yes,
older family
yes,
extended family. You know,
yes,
I can't tell my kids something, but Uncle Joe can say
exactly,
it, and
exactly,
they get it
exactly,
straight away. And I've been telling them for months. So
exactly.
definitely, what definitely has that sentiment. So, well, we'll share. I mean, we'll share
Yeah, yeah,
in this thread how to get involved, how to get connected. Um,
love it.
but yeah, I think it's good. It's what's needed, and you know, I think it's a great value there.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of my passion project. So
right. Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, and it shows. It's a great platform. We met some great people already in there, so
Hmm.
I'm enjoying the interaction and the
Yeah,
connection
yeah,
already.
yeah,
It's yeah, well, it's like minded. You resonate at the right frequency.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Well, and that's the thing, the it's hard when you're kind of beaten down or you have so much evidence that every company is like this.
mm,
When will I find my people?
mm,
And it can be very difficult to believe that we all actually have the ability to say, I don't have to quit. I don't have to be defiant about it, right? But once I'm clear, then I can kind of use the system to help move myself forward, to help move my family forward.
yeah,
And there's just easier, more productive ways to use the system
hmm,
where you don't feel bad at the end of the day when you go home that you've used and manipulated people or stepped on
yeah,
people to get to where you're going. But there's very healthy ways that can help build you long internal careers at companies and definitely help you stay skilled in the way growing your skills in the way you want to grow them.
yeah, yeah. And you know
Blah.
what? As you say that, I'm gonna um uh I had a guest who is a dear friend and actually a client of mine back in the
Mm,
90s
mm,
in the states out of California, out of Solana Beach, San
mm,
Diego.
mm-hmm,
um, and she runs a company called Gordon Training International. I don't know if you've
mm.
come across it. and they have a program called LET, Leadership Effectiveness Training, and
Hmm.
it's based on her father's work, Dr. Thomas Gordon,
Mm,
in that space.
mm,
And some of the things I think some of the things we just talked about in terms of perceptions of employee, employer, or co-workers, that dynamic between people and where they stand. And
hmm.
like you just said there, if you're clear about what you are about, it makes it easier to let
Yes,
people understand where you're coming from, what you mean, what your intentions are. And a lot of
exactly.
that effectiveness training is in that space as well. So
Yes.
I'll 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 jot a quick note and introduce you to
Yeah, great.
connect you to, because I think
Yes.
there's some resonance there.
Yeah.
They have
Love
programs
it.
all over the world, and yeah, that would be lovely. And her name's Michelle Gordon. As you can probably see her in my link there. So
Taking my note down.
I'll
Got
make
it.
that I'll make that I'll make that introduction. But
Cool.
yeah, this is good. I'm gonna go. It's the bottom of the hour.
I know. Time to
So
go.
yeah, thank you for walking the dog earlier, and great to see you on
Yes.
your input and connection on the droppings is
Oh,
always
thanks. I love
a
this
breath of
space.
fresh air,
Oh,
and
I love this space because it can turn into anything,
yes,
and it
yes,
has turned into so many different topics, and I just love it. So
yeah,
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 you have to
absolutely.
tag Jeremy Pope.
Yes, yes,
Eh,
please, yes. I'm gonna meet with him today, and
Oh, you are. You tell him
yes,
like
yeah,
emerge from
absolutely.
wherever you've gone, Jeremy. We people miss you.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, Jeremy, Carl. I'm gonna give them all shouts out here. Carl Adamson. I know
Yes.
we've caught up on some other groups, other group stuff as well, and that's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
And Pierre
and
and Justin.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the gang. But it's okay. I mean, I'm glad we had I'm glad we had this kind of chance to just have a one-on-one chat. So that's been
Yeah. It's
fun.
perfect.
That's been fun.
Yeah.
So
I will
definitely,
pile on to whatever you post
okay.
so that people can find us. And then
Yeah,
I hope that you have a lovely evening.
we make that. Yes, I'm going to dance later, so that's going to make up for the parking ticket.
Are you doing bachata? What are you doing?
I'm doing kazumba.
Oh, even better.
Kazumba. It is pretty good. It's a whole different way of dancing. I mean, yeah, because yeah, it's got that. It's where I don't know. It's like tango. It's like
It is.
African tango.
It's so cool.
It's pretty close, yeah. But it's
Yes.
very the moves are great, and the music is. I love the music.
Yeah.
Of of the dances that I dance, the kazumba's music is the one that sparks me the most.
Yeah. Put a
Salsa's good
link. Put a link to that in the comments. Some kind of a
too.
link. I don't know what, like sample of the dancing, sample of the music, something like that.
Okay, okay.
I want to
Yeah,
hear it.
I'll drop something in there. Yeah, well, I've got a couple of favorite songs there, so
Nice.
I'll find something and share that. Sandra, enjoy the rest of your day because you got a lot
I
more
will. Thank you.
before me, and
I'm
then
off to a great start.
yes, fantastic, and we'll catch up soon. Okay,
Please.
all right,
Bye.
take care. Thanks everybody.